¿Cómo está, familia? How's everybody going? Hope everybody's having a great day and great life, all that good stuff. Recently, someone's very special on this channel had a birthday. You guessed it. It ain't me. It's Bern. Bern just had his birthday, He's turned a million years old for his 493rd birthday, and he looks amazing.
For 1,000 years, it could look worse.
Well, that's a given. But what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good. Like I said, let's all wish Bern a happy late birthday because it was this last weekend. So happy late birthday, Bern. Hope you had a great one up at home with the family. But we're talking about a different family today. It's not about Bern. What it is about is the latest film, pretty much the last DC movie under the previous regime, I guess I would say, like Walter Hamada and all them. DC's Blue Beetle. So I'm sure if you haven't watched Young Justice, played the Injustice 2 game, or actually maybe even seen Smallville, because technically I think it was on that to begin with.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there's been a live action before. Not the best, mind you, but it's been there.
But there's been a version.
There has been a version, yes. And this is starring Blue Beetle. He's kind of he's an unknown character a little bit, but he's actually got more popular in the last 10 years, just because in Young Justice, like the animated show, he's actually a really big important character. He actually he gets a pretty good story arc with that, kind of revolving around the Scarab and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool.
So good.
Yeah, and so so a lot of articles are going around. I don't know if anyone's really paid attention, but just so you know, this movie has nothing to do with James Gunn's new DC, because that's been some of the clickbait articles that are saying people are losing faith already in James Gunn's DC, when it's you realize that has nothing to do with this, right? He has had nothing to do with Blue Beetle whatsoever. So
nothing except other than saying that there's a potential to grandfather in the character into his new universe. But as it stands right now, this movie can go either way. But I mean, at the same time, it's very standalone, so I don't think it really matters at the end of the day.
No, I think ever since James Gunn's taken over, for the most part, the movies have kind of done a good... I mean, I know it's The Flash is the biggest example of having to pivot its original ending for the ending that we saw in theaters, which the original two endings they had planned, I will say, they sounded pretty awesome. But, again, we know with DC changing and stuff, it really doesn't matter at this point. So I think that's the bummer of it, because this movie's not being super... it took down Barbie for the first time in almost 2 months, but it's just it's not doing that great. But anyways, this is a non-spoiler review as always, so please do not forget to ring the bell, give us a like, and of course subscribe. We appreciate you all, and want to keep this stuff going. So yeah, this is this... How do I put this? So yeah, it's the latest movie in DC. Definitely takes place present day. And it stars a couple actors I have never heard of or seen of before, like Sola Maridueña. I hope I said that right. I apologize.
Xolo.
Okay, Xolo. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he plays...
All good.
He plays Jaime Reyes, the main character, a.k.a. the Blue Beetle. And then we have Bruna Marquezine. I can't say that right. She plays Jenny Cord, the daughter of Ted Cord, who, for some of you who know DC a little bit, that is the original Blue Beetle. So Jaime Reyes is the fancy second version of Blue Beetle.
Third version, actually.
There's too many Blue Beetles.
There's so many versions, yes.
There's too many.
There's all kinds of beetles around here. Too many bug superheroes. They need to be squashed.
You know what beetles I do miss though? Beetleborgs. Did you ever watch that show as a kid?
Oh my god! Don't even get me started. Yes.
I love Beetleborgs. I'm sorry, it was a lot of fun.
I could go on.
Oh man, I had a VHS of a couple episodes because it was a cool story arc. Anyways, it also has George Lopez, who's awesome. Raul Trujillo, who he was actually a really good character in this one. Susan Sarandon, Harvey Guillen, from, if you guys don't remember him, he's from What We Do in the Shadows. He was... And then we also have Jaime Reyes' sister, who's played by Belisa Escobedo. Again, never seen her before or anything. She kind of reminds me of a young America Ferrera. But either way, let's get down to the brass tacks here. So this movie takes place in another fictional city. Do you remember what the city was called, Bryn?
Palmera City, I believe.
That sounds about right. Essentially, it kind of reminded me of like a fancy, super high tech version of like Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, very Miami.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It could be
And
like DC's version of Miami. I don't think that's like an actual thing in the comics, but it worked for me. It was pretty cool.
absolutely. And yeah, essentially, it's Jaime is one of those characters where he's educated. He's on the tip of the iceberg of his youth, but in today's world, it's hard for him, a young person, to get a job, especially even with an education. And through some unfortunate events, essentially, he gets in contact with the Scarab, an alien, technology, and it binds to him, creating the Blue Beetle. And yeah, so Susan Sarandon and Raul Trujillo, they're the two main villains of this story. And the trailers, I thought, made it super generic, just because, yeah, it's one of those things, like origin stories with a lot of superheroes, they all kind of start out the same for the most part.
Yeah.
But it actually was a lot of fun. Like don't get me wrong, there were some really generic moments where there were points in the movie I was like, let's get this on. We already know what happens. Keep it going. But then there are also very heartfelt moments, because this movie is not just about the superhero stuff. It really does have some good cultural stuff. Like, it's definitely ties for like Mexican American culture for the most part. Really a lot of like family values and stuff, and it just standing together, family. And yeah, I really liked it. I didn't think I was going into it. I kind of had low expectations for it, but yeah, it was actually just a lot of fun. It kind of makes me want another Blue Beetle movie, which I had no intention of wanting before. So, Bird, what did you think of this movie?
Going into it like you, I expected it to be a little bit of a letdown and a little bit generic, just based off of the trailers that we gotten and also the quality of like DC movies that we've gotten as of late, with the exception of the Batman last year, which was, it's amazing, and it was kind of like a one in a million. It turns out for a lot of the more recent DCEU entries, but yeah, and then with everything going on behind the scenes, where it's like we don't know what's going to carry over, if anything, and we're getting this essentially C-list character, some that we like, I mean, I like, you have seen, the Injustice show. I like the character I'm sorry, the Young Justice show, and I like the character in the Injustice 2 video game. So, I have a little bit more familiarity to it, but I think the general audience is a little bit like, who is this guy? And that certainly doesn't help when it comes to the DC brand, which is a little bit hurt right now, I would say, with how bad The Flash did in the box office, and what it seems like this movie's tracking to do, which is unfortunate, because like you, I also did enjoy this movie a lot. I mean, this was a little bit of a generic origin story, and in most parts, it kind of hits that same beats of, this really good person getting this crazy power thrust onto them and having to deal with that, and you kind of know where this is going to go. But what really sets it apart, like Rye said, is the family dynamic, and the cultural elements here that they inject, from Latino culture in there, and certainly a lot of things that I've seen, growing up. There's so many like different references, and so many like different like nuances between the family and their dynamic together, which I really enjoyed and really spoke to me. As in me and my experiences, essentially. So that certainly pushed it over the top from being, something that was just kind of a run-of-the-mill superhero story. So I really did enjoy that, and all the actors that you mentioned did a fantastic job in their role, I think. And Shola Maridueña, I mean, I only know him from the show Cobra Kai, and he was really fun in that. So it's cool to see him take the leap and be the main person for a superhero movie. And I think he did a really good job. In that show, he's very charming and charismatic and really just fun to watch. And I think he brought those sensibilities from that character and really did a good job here too. So like you, I would totally like to see more if they were ever to do more of this. But as everything's in flux right now, it's kind of like up in the air. But do I want a Blue Beetle movie sequel now that I've seen the first one? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. I mean, because even they hint at even in the trailers, they hint at the original Blue Beetle design and stuff. And the way George Lopez's character put it in the movie, I'm not gonna say nothing. It actually was like, you know what? That does put into perspective for me, and I would not mind a Blue Beetle movie with Ted Kord, the OG Blue Beetle. So yeah, like I said, Having said all that, even though it's super generic, but I had some fun with it. I'm definitely gonna give it a 3 out of 5, just because it's still a good movie. I definitely think it's worth watching, even though DC's going through a whole regime change, in the next few years, especially because of the writers and actors strike. I don't think we're getting shit for a while.
For a while,
Um, it's gonna be a while, but you know what? I'm looking forward to what James Gunn's gonna have to do with DC, and I think this is definitely one of the stronger films to end the current regime under.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a really fun movie, and like I said, if you're from like a Hispanic or Latino background, there will be a lot of things here that you walk away from really enjoying. I think Angel Manuel Soto did a really good job directing this movie, and the cinematography was really cool too. I mean, a lot of the movie was like dripping with like neon colors, which made it really visually interesting. And the score too, the synth score was really fun and very different from superhero movies, which tend to run in the more generic music stylings. But there's a lot of little flair in this movie that put it above the flat, like, unenjoyable, just generic superhero story. So I think people will walk away having a good time with this one. So I certainly did. So I will be giving this one a 3 out of 5 also.
Beautiful, beautiful. But for any of this is the last weekend. I mean, for those of you who saw the movie, what did you think of it? Did you really like it? Was it kind of for you, or did you not bother watching it just because? What's the point for DC right now? And I totally understand that too. Let us know in the comments. We can keep the conversation going. Gran Turismo is coming out this week, so stay tuned for that review. And until next time, stay bodacious and keep on ranting.
Absolutely, everybody, be good, be safe.